Nigeria has a long-standing battle with counterfeit drugs. In 2002, a study by the National Agency of Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, found that nearly 41% of pharmaceuticals in the country were having counterfeit items. Well, while there have been efforts by the federal government to solve this problem, the pharmaceutical industry still needs more solutions. Remedial Health is a Nigerian health tech startup providing technology solutions to this problem in 16 of Nigeria's states. The startup has now raised $4.4 million in seed funding to accelerate its expansion across Nigeria and to provide access to credit for inventory purchases for neighborhood pharmacies, proprietary patent medicine vendors, and that's PPMVs, and hospitals in the country. Joining us to discuss, Samuel Okwuada. He's the CEO and co-founder of Remedial Health. Good evening to you. Good to have you on the show tonight, sir. So, can you give us a brief overview? You're welcome. You're very welcome. Can you give us a brief overview of the pharmaceutical industry in Africa today? How do Africans typically access their medicines?
Okay, so Africans typically access medicines either via hospitals, pharmacies, or chemists. Typically known as PPMVs. So think those small medical stores that you see by the roadside, usually without a pharmacist, but they're allowed to sell some medications to the population.
Okay, and are there improvements to be considered to ensure effectiveness in Africa's pharmaceutical industry?
Oh yes, certainly, and I would say the regulators, they're pretty much aware of the challenges with the supply chain. I'll use Nigeria as an example, which is where we're starting from. What you have is these large markets where we sell pharmaceuticals wholesale. Now, the challenge with that market is, or those markets are, one, there's hardly any control on what goes in and what goes out of that market. There's literally no track and trace whatsoever. People have to travel long distances to buy them. You don't know what you're getting. You said NAFDAC says as much as 41% in Nigeria. The WHO says in Africa, this is 30% of all medicines sold. Now, one challenge is getting rid of those markets so that pharmaceuticals, from the point of manufacture or import into the country, they can be traced all the way to the point a patient takes them.
Wow, that's a lot of work to be done there. Okay, so look, the whole world has been dealing with COVID-19, rising inflation, other issues for the last 12 months or more now. What impact have these events had on healthcare distribution in Africa, and how have neighborhood pharmacies and chemists coped with these events?
So first, with COVID-19, which was a huge shock to everyone, not just the pharmaceutical industry, it was like the perfect scenario for our company, Remedial Health. And in fact, that was where the light bulb moment went off, because we had like a perfect catch-22 situation where pharmacies and hospitals were allowed to dispense medicines and treat patients. But these markets, where they would typically buy wholesale, were shut down because of the lockdown. So you had a scenario where people needed medicines and there were no medicines to sell to them because the wholesale markets were shut. And that was where the idea for Remedial Health came about. Now, inflation, again, it's a general thing. It has affected pharmaceuticals as well. To just give you a rough example, the price of a box of anti-malarial, so a box of 10 packs, which was pretty much about 1,000, maybe 700 about 3 years ago, is now over 3,000 naira. And this is impact of COVID on the supply chain. Things just got more expensive and haven't returned back to normal. You have inflation. Then for Nigeria, our peculiarity, we have the dollar crisis, which has also pushed up the price of medications.
All right. Look, it's a whole lot to deal with as far as the hurdles for the industry. But good news, I mean, you've just secured $4.4 million in seed funding. Take us through the funding round. How did that work out for you?
Okay, so we launched sometime last year, 2021. raised $1 million early this year, and then additional 4.4. And I would say it's basically a testament to the fact that although Nigeria has its challenges, although Africa has its challenges, there are opportunities for people who want to take them. And our investors in this, so our first investment earlier in the year, we had more local investors, Ventures platform, which is Abuja-based venture firm. For this one, we had more global investors, including the likes of Tencent. Tencent is a $300 billion Chinese conglomerate. And they saw the opportunity in what we were doing and saw the growth we had made since January and decided, hey, you guys need more firepower to take on the market.
Excellent stuff. Well, that's great. And as far as scaling is concerned, I think that's going to go a long way. Speaking of scaling, how do you plan to use the funds?
So we're currently in about 16 states in Nigeria. Actually, even that news is a bit old. So we were 16 states maybe 2-3 weeks ago. We're now in about 20 states at the moment. The goal is to be pan-Nigeria before end of this year. And then additional 1 or 2 African countries before the end of next year. The goal is not to build something for Nigeria, it's to build something for Africa. These are challenges that are pretty much replicated in every single market, and we feel we're positioned to take on those opportunities.
Great stuff. We'll be following up with you. There's a whole lot to discuss as far as the healthcare industry is concerned and how technology can make inroads in there, especially for pharmaceuticals. So thank you so much for joining us, Samuel Okwuada, CEO and co-founder of Remedial Health. It's been great having you on the show.
Thank you for having me.